Real Estate Investing Profits presents Profit Masters with your host, world-renowned real estate coach and investor, Corey Boatwright. Now, strap in and get ready to learn elite wealth-building investment strategies taught by 6- and 7-figure house flipping masters as they reveal their best real estate investing profit secrets to you right now.
Welcome back. My name is Corey Boatwright. I am the founder of Real Estate Investing Profits and the host of Profit Master podcast series. And we have another incredible guest for you today. Before I get to who it is, I want to remind you to make sure that you download your free real estate investing guide, the Quick Start Guide. And how you can get that right now is you can text 38470, the word profit, and you can go ahead and get instantly that Quick Start Guide sent to you right away. So make sure you do that. And also appreciate you for taking the time to listen to these interviews. Put a lot of time into it, and I'll make sure that you get the value for spending the time. Now, today is another incredible guest, and his name is Dave Payerchin. He's a part of Columbus Turnkey Houses. Him and his partner, which I actually have next week on, RJ Pepino. He is working with Dave, and they have Columbus Turnkey Houses. What they do is they specialize in networking, raising capital, system automation, and developing and maintaining those relationships. And more specifically, what they do is their goal is to deliver superior service at competitive pricing in Columbus for Ohio investors, and their team understands every aspect of turnkey process from acquisition to resell. So they're equipped with knowledge and infrastructure to provide a seamless investment experience and a quality product, whether it's investing, lending, buying, selling, property management, or even the federally subsidized rental properties, the Section 8. And they're just an incredible team. You're going to love this interview with Dave. And so without any further ado, I give you Mr. Dave Payerchin. All right. What's going on, Dave?
Hey, having a great day, Corey. Thanks for having me on.
Sure. Thanks for coming on here. I really appreciate it. Now, you're dialing in from Columbus,
Ohio. We're still celebrating the Buckeyes' big win, the big opener. I'm sure you caught the headlines.
I did catch the opener, right, in the headlines. Mm-hmm. And I also saw the beginning parade. It was pretty incredible.
We're feeling pretty good. We smell repeat in the air out here, but I don't want to speak too soon. I don't want to get my foot in my mouth. But yeah, man, we're here in Columbus, Ohio, and feeling great. Fall time is setting in. Football is back. So
right. Exciting times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, thanks for taking the time to be on here. You and I have known each other for a little while, and we also met at the Collective Genius Mastermind, one of the great mastermind meetings in the country for real estate investors. So blessed to be a part of that. I know you are too. And you know, it's interesting because whenever you talk to investors, they don't typically think, wow, Columbus would be a place that I want to go and do my investing and, you know, build my business. But you've been doing really well there. And I want to get you on and ask a couple of questions about your particular expertise in real estate. You're focusing on single family homes, correct?
Yeah, primarily single-family homes. Sometimes we'll do, up to two to four units.
Right.
Primarily single-family homes. And the big draw, Corey, that people come to the Midwest in general, but specifically Columbus, Ohio is a great marketplace. We have the university here, obviously. We can go down the whole list of why Columbus is great, but it's a very heavy cash flow market.
Right.
So we've really put our specialty into providing investment properties and providing turnkey real estate to investors all over the country and all over the world. We've provided properties to investors in multiple countries, everywhere from Singapore to the Middle East to Japan.
Right. Yeah, it's incredible right now. There's a big surge from overseas investors coming in and wanted a piece of United States.
Yeah. So Columbus is able to provide that, and we do. So we're dabbling in retail just a little bit.
Okay.
We have a great deal, and maybe we can make a case study out of that particular deal on this episode. But the market's hot, and it's forcing us to do a little bit of retail only because we're seeing the days on the market so low in certain areas. And when we get a hot lead in one of those areas, we realize we're going to make more profit by just fixing the property up and selling it as a retail product.
Right. What made you want to get involved with real estate in the beginning?
Haven't been asked that in quite a while. So, really, and a lot of people don't know this, Corey. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio originally, and I had a monumental point in my life when I was a senior in high school. After just always being the class clown my entire life, I got to be a senior, and then the conversation amongst my peers was turned into, where are you going to college and what are you going to do with your life? And it hit me like a ton of bricks because I had no idea what I was going to do with my life, and I didn't have the grades or the financial means to attend a university. And what I did at that point is, looking back, I think it was actually running away.
Yeah.
But I packed up my bags and I moved to Phoenix, Arizona. I got the opportunity to move to Phoenix, Arizona, and to work construction. I wanted to get out of Ohio, like most people at that age. They want to spread their wings and take on the world.
Sure.
So I moved to Phoenix, Arizona with a major chip on my shoulder that all I wanted to do was be successful.
Okay.
So I didn't have a lot of friends when I first moved to Arizona, and I was working a sales job at an old telecommunications company, MCI WorldCom. Don't know if you remember them or not.
I do, sure.
And I wanted to be the best. I'm an ambitious person, and I wanted to be the best salesperson I could. So I began going to Barnes & Noble and going to different, Borders was around at the time, and reading sales books. And then in any bookstore, as you and your followers probably know, right next to sales and entrepreneur books, you find real estate books.
Right.
And I started seeing these books that said, make $1 million overnight. I'm exaggerating, but
sure.
I saw the dollar signs, and I thought that was my opportunity to be successful and really show, everyone back home in my own family that I am capable of being something. So I entered real estate almost for the wrong reasons. Looking at it now that I'm in my 30s, and that has been almost 15 years ago, more. Basically, I entered it for the wrong reasons. The ego drove me into real estate. And the self-development that comes with real estate then, and actually the success that comes with real estate actually, improved my spiritual life as well as I began to continue to work on myself. But that's how I got involved in real estate, man. I just wanted to be successful.
That's great. No, that's great. So were you working like another type of job that, I know you say you're working at the telecom job, and obviously, you're going into the Barnes & Noble and reading the books, but was there a moment that you were doing it where you're just like, all right, this is it. I'm done with the MCI thing. I'm going to make the plunge into real estate. Was there like a breaking moment for you?
There was. I've experienced several breaking moments, but the very first one was I was working the same thing, and I was just a salesman, a glorified telemarketer, if you will.
Sure.
Changing people's long distance plans and things of that nature.
I did this. I worked at Lifeline AmeriVision for almost 5 years, or it's a CLEC, and I know we did the whole you got slammed, and I understand exactly where you're coming from. There was Affinity based Christian telecommunications company. And I went through that whole period where, people were being switched over from AT&T, MCI, and then we were a CLEC, and it was an interesting period. But I understand where you're coming from.
You know what? We can have another conversation about that, Corey. But I'm sure you could agree there is so much to learn from that area of work.
So much,
absolutely. I'm grateful for that experience.
Yeah, I was into telemarketing too for almost a full year and selling credit cards. And man, I'm telling you, I got really good at rejection training on that. I'd say rejection training was awesome for the credit card thing, all for telemarketing, but also for Kirby's. when I sold Kirby home cleaning systems. That was like the best rejection training. But anyway, so there's a moment for you that had like a enough's enough.
The breaking point was the very first real estate course I ever purchased was a Carlton Sheets real estate course.
Right.
And I'd been through that. And I had already been putting it out there to my family that I want to do this real estate thing.
Yeah.
Super excited about real estate. And again, I was living in Arizona at the time, and the year was 2004 now. And, basically the market was booming. So I'm hearing about real estate everywhere. They're building houses like crazy in the Arizona market. I had $14,000 to my name. And one day I just said enough is enough. I hung up the headset and ventured out into real estate and started using that money for direct mail campaigns, driving for dollars, just started grassroots from my, kitchen table. And that was the breaking point. It was just, I saw it all around me. I believed in myself. And, when you start with nothing, you got nothing to lose. So that was pretty much it.
That's interesting that you just went ahead and just said, I'm diving all in on it. Who was one of your biggest influences besides Carlton Sheets?
When I initially first getting started?
Yeah.
As far as like a mentor or a guru or just anyone?
I think just anyone that was just strongly influencing you. Like, did you have a friend? Did you have a mentor? Was it a guru? It could be anyone.
So I do. Multiple people come to mind, and they're all friends. But the person that I would say who was a strong influence on me, his name was Steve. And he's still a very active and a very, very well-off investor in the Arizona market. Older guy. He owned all these multi-units. And I met him at a cash flow club, the board game, the cash flow.
Right, Robert Kiyosaki's, right.
Robert Kiyosaki game. And I sat right next to him. And this guy's just wearing a pair of, work boots and blue jeans and a T-shirt with the sleeves cut off. And, I befriended him, and I was just, this young, hungry, ambitious guy. And, he saw something in me. He's a very mellow, low-key guy.
Right. And
drove a work van. And I was just, ready to take on the world. And he liked my energy. And I just thought he was some guy. As to come to find out then, we became friends. And I just see he owns so much real estate, so, just a wealthy, wealthy guy. Even now he's developing land in Arizona, owns multifamilies all over the place. So he taught me, we used to go out to dinner because he was actually going through a major breakup in his life.
Yeah.
And
like a business breakup or a personal breakup?
Personal breakup. And it affected him deeply. And he just wanted to get out and, make new friends. And him and I used to go to dinner all the time and just talk real estate. He taught me how to use a financial calculator, which I still use every single day, in calculating ROI and things like that. And he used to bring me up on roofs, and he would show me how to fix things. And he just really, showed me the ropes. And I would say Steve, and that's sometimes in life, and you can attest to this as well, Corey, you never know who you're going to meet, and you never know who's going to make a difference in your life.
Absolutely. I mean,
not how they look always, right?
It's sometimes the most unassuming person, right, is the wealthiest, the one that's doing all the big things, absolutely. Yeah.
So he's a big influence, and we're still friends to this day, which I'm proud to say.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so Steve was one of your big influences. You had your kind of enough moment from just jumping in, saying, I can do it, I believe in myself. What was a real estate mistake that you made, or like one of your worst deals that you went through? How did you get through it?
So going back to your previous question on the biggest influences, so Steve is a dear contact of mine and a dear friend of mine who made a big difference, in my real estate investing career. But during that time, I jumped both feet into the whole Ron LeGrand circle.
Right.
I mean, that was just going crazy. I think I saw you speak a couple times back in the day. I don't know.
Yeah. Way back then. No, yeah.
That was a while ago.
I've been 2008 or 2009, somewhere in there, where I was doing a lot of speaking. 2010, 2008, 2009, 2010, I was on the circuit pretty good.
So going back to your next question then, so I was into the Ron LeGrand circuit, and I did great. My very first couple of years in real estate, all because the market was so hot. Anyone with a pulse could make money in real estate if you had, a decent head on your shoulders. So I was out there driving for dollars, tracking down sellers of boarded up homes, putting them under contract. And then I had a buyer's list, a handful of buyers where I would wholesale properties. Literally, Corey, I would make $20,000, $30,000. Okay. A deal. My first year in the business, I was 20, I want to say 23.
Yeah.
I made $180,000.
Wow.
And
that's impressive.
It's impressive, but you give $180,000 to a 23-year-old with a huge ego.
That's chaos.
It's like giving someone a hand grenade.
And say,
Not
don't pull the pin. Don't pull the pin.
I pulled the pin.
Yeah.
And what I did was, all I wanted to do, was impress everyone. So I had a Mustang, I had a nice Audi car, I had a house that I shouldn't have even been living in.
Sure.
So the biggest mistake I made, because I still had great credit and I had a bunch of money in the bank and I thought I was rich, and then the market dried up and I just wasn't getting the same deals. People weren't buying. So I had a mistake of, mistaking debt and leverage debt for revenue.
Right.
So money started to dry up and I blew through all my cash.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was going down to Washington Mutual and a lot of these other banks that aren't even in business anymore and started signing for, second mortgages and HELOCs. And I was just living off that.
Yep.
And that...
Well, I called them wallet houses back in the day.
Yeah, I was just buying a house and borrowing money and that led to my financial demise in 2007. I filed for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy.
Yeah.
I was out. I was out the game. I completely leveraged myself to the max and couldn't sustain that. That's no way to live. So my biggest, mistake that I learned from was taking on way too much debt, not generating revenue, and unfortunately I had to lose it all. And then I went through a dark time, where I felt so much shame about that. Any ambitious person,
sure,
when they get the wind knocked out of them, it's so much shame. And I've been able to move on from that gratefully. And, I'll never change anything or take anything back. But mistaking debt for revenue was something I learned. I'm happy to learn that at a young age as well,
That's really good. It's a good point. Well, let's talk about something a little more positive then. What is one of your profit master investing strategies? What's really working for you right now? If you can share that with our listeners, one of your best profit-making strategies right now, Dave.
So what I'm going to share with you is maybe not the sexiest of all things, but it's a wealth building strategy that my business partner, RJ, and I think you're going to have RJ on the show at some point.
Yes.
He's my best friend and my business partner, and him and I are really into, we flip a lot of properties and we provide a lot of properties to investors. As we said in the beginning, we provide turnkey properties. But our wealth building strategy is buy and hold. And that's the time-tested system. Again, it's not the sexiest or the most glamorous thing to talk about, managing tenants and managing properties. But what we are doing right now, our strategy, is we're borrowing private money from investors.
At what
loans?
What percentage?
So we're borrowing money at 9%.
Okay.
Amortized over 5 years.
Okay.
5 years. And we go after homes that we will be all into for $20,000 or less.
Okay.
So, for instance, recently, and
that doesn't need any repairs. They're already ready to go.
Well, no, that's all in for $20,000. So recently, we purchased a property for, I believe, $8,000.
Okay.
Motivated seller, decent area. I'd love to share these pictures with you, and it's actually being marketed today. We just ran a Postlets ad on this.
Okay.
$700 a month. But we bought it for roughly $8,000, and we're going to put like $5,000 into it.
Okay.
And so it hits our model of being all in for $20,000 or less.
Okay.
We borrowed a first mortgage from an investor at 9%. So our payments are high because it's all paid back in 5 years.
Right.
It's cash flow light for the first 5 years. You got to be able to hang in there.
But you're not using any of your own money. You're not using any of your own money. And you're also getting the rent of, on this example, $700 a month is, a big chunk of that, if not all of it's going to go towards your payment, and it's all going to be paying towards principal.
That's correct. However, what happens in 5 years is we own it free and clear.
Right.
So it's a wealth building strategy, and that's what I'm most excited about. And we are just scooping up houses, as many as we can possibly get. And again, it's not that great on the surface because we're not making a ton of money on a monthly cash flow basis right now.
Right.
However, like you pointed out, we're into it for zero of our own dollars, and we borrowed money for the acquisition and the rehab. Sometimes we'll even borrow a little bit more if we're still under that $20,000 mark. So we actually make a little money on the front end. Not a lot because we don't want to overextend ourselves.
Right.
But we have all our expenses paid on the front end. A tenant will be able to pay that monthly rent, which is going to cover our note, and we'll own it free and clear in 5 years. Now, with the tenant, we don't just rent our properties out. We do have a lot of rentals, but we have adapted a rent-to-own program. And the reason we like the rent-to-own program is because what we have found is we're attracting residents of these properties with more of an ownership mentality. And we have sold these properties to tenant buyers.
But most of the time, they don't qualify, right? Most of the time, you're getting somebody in that wants to qualify, but life happens, everything else happens, and so you end up selling that same house over and over again.
To be completely upfront, for the last 40 that we've done, one person actually went through the motions and actually even tried to get a loan.
Yeah.
And then it's actually kind of funny because her boyfriend was still married, and then his wife that they were separated wouldn't sign off and messed up his credit, so they didn't qualify. But so out of 40, only one person actually went through the program that we laid out on a silver platter, put right in front of them.
Right.
We want to do the right thing, Corey. We're not trying to set people up for failure.
Sure.
The natural mentality of people is just to not follow through.
Right.
You know?
That's true.
Another big thing about the rent-to-own is we are very upfront with the people when we sit them down and we sign a lease and we sign the option to purchase that they are responsible 100% for the maintenance and the repairs. Our line here around the office is don't call us, call the Home Depot.
Call the Home Depot. Yeah, because you do the rent-to-own. There's no issues in Ohio, I suspect, for doing the rent-to-own program. Or a lease with option. You don't do a lease with option, you do a rent-to-own program.
Which is exactly what you just said. It's a lease with an option to purchase.
Okay, so you're doing a lease with option to purchase.
2 separate documents.
Yep, 2 separate documents. And the option consideration is a couple $1,000 probably, maybe $1,500 to $2,000.
The rule of thumb is as much as we possibly can get for qualified people.
Sure. Okay, and then you sell them the house for the highest it'll appraise for?
That we write it into the option agreement. We don't set a defined price up front.
Interesting.
We say we'll get 2 appraisals, you get an appraisal, and we'll get an appraisal at the time of purchase. And we'll average the 2 out.
Yep.
And do that.
It's a really smart model, and no way whatsoever you're setting up people to fail. The challenge is, in your market, I see, is that the type of person that's going to buy that property to live in it at a $20,000 or $30,000 or $40,000 number, I think you're going to have some harder tenant buyers to actually get qualified. I mean, it's just going to be the nature of that beast. And I think that you've noticed that. And instead of just saying rent forever, now you get a higher quality person. Because if you just say I'm attracting renters only, now you're getting a lower quality person that doesn't care about home ownership. They don't care about taking care of things. And now also the big kicker is now you're on the hook for fixing everything on that property. You're right. So if you're doing a rent to own program, you're the landlord. You do the lease with option program, if you do the rent program only, you're the landlord. If you do a lease with option program, then they essentially are, and they're only calling you unless there's probably something really big like a roof or AC, right?
Roof, AC, and don't forget we're here in Ohio. Furnaces are a big thing. Now, when we acquire this property, keep in mind we're all in for $20,000, but the property's not worth $20,000 because we're getting these properties for our own portfolio for 20, 30, 40 cents on the dollar. So the after repair value is definitely more than what we're all into because we do a ton of We Buy Houses marketing. Probate marketing. In fact, I'll let my business partner RJ, when you do your interview with him, let him talk about probate with this guy because he's just figured it out and it's providing phenomenal deals.
Love it.
And so we're getting great deals, and these properties are worth more than we're all into for. And we own a few Section 8 rentals and stuff like that. But what you're talking about is the mentality is completely different of a rent-to-own resident rather than just somebody with, I hate to use the term entitlement mentality, but we try to screen that out as much as we possibly can. We like people who, can pay their bills on time and actually, want to be in that property. They want to take care of the property and take care of the neighborhood. And that's really what we look for in a good candidate.
That's great. Well, really great strategy. Thanks for sharing that. And I know that you're going to have success that I already have in a lot of it. If you had to start all over again, Dave, how would you make changes? What would you do differently?
That's a great question. I would, as I already mentioned in the very beginning, I started out with, and I'm always still working on myself, and I know you are as well, Corey. We're always, that's the brotherhood of masterminds, and that's the brotherhood of what we're doing here.
Work in progress.
Podcast.
WIP, WIP.
Yeah. So what I would do is I would be more abundant. If I had to start today, I would be more abundant with my resources, my knowledge, and my contacts and my network, and not keep everything so close to my chest.
Right.
I think a very common behavior of people just getting started in this business is, they read some books and get some knowledge, and they think there's not enough to go around. So they don't want to work with other investors. They're at competition with everyone rather than adding that person to their network. So if I had to start all over, I would approach it differently in that I would reach out and try to help other people and see how I could work and add value to other people in the business rather than looking at it from a competition standpoint and waking up every day and just going to war. That's no way to live. And it actually hinders growth massively.
It does. And it's also the mindset of looking at success as a zero-sum game, right? That's the big thing is if I have success and no one else can have success, if someone else has success, then I can't have success. And just looking at it where it's an economy of really successful people and people help each other and build each other up to actually do better is a much better perspective. You agree with that?
Absolutely. We just created, in fact, you don't know this yet, we'll be sharing this eventually. We just created this week, or I think the end of last week, our first meetup here in Columbus.
Great.
Called the Real Deal Real Estate Meetup and Mastermind.
I love it.
So we're trying to bring people together. I'm trying to practice what I'm preaching here.
It's great.
And I think we already got 20 people RSVP'd for our first meetup, so we're pretty stoked.
Yeah, we did. We had a little over 20 or 24 people, the first people on our meetup too. So we doing one in OKC. It's great, fantastic way to get the word out and serve people, and also just create some authority in your marketplace too. People naturally will come and bring you deals and work with you. So it's fantastic for that. What's one piece of advice that you'd share with running a successful business?
One piece of advice in running a successful business, I would say that to surround yourself with people who complement your weaknesses. Yes. And I think that's one thing that my business partner, RJ, and I have really dialed in. We could write a book on a partnership because so many partnerships fail, and we see why. I mean, it's not all lollipops and candy canes in any partnership. But if you could be around people who are loyal and honest and their strengths complement your weaknesses,
right?
I think that's huge. And then it goes back to, all business is a people strategy. Everything has to do with people.
Right.
If anything, I would just say, yes, surround yourself with people who generally love you on some level, and accept you. Mm-hmm. Just find people who are good at the things that you're not.
It's great. Great advice, man. What's one of your favorite motivational or business quotes?
So my quote that I wanted to share comes from, it's actually a spiritual teacher. And the quote is, and the teacher is Abraham Hicks. And this is a woman, Esther Hicks, who channels her higher power, which is energy that goes by Abraham Hicks. And basically what it comes down to is, the quote is, that which is like unto itself is drawn. That which is like into itself is drawn. And what that says to me is who you are on the inside is what you are going to manifest on the exterior. I'm a huge believer and practitioner that all of life is an internal game. It's an intangible game. The physical stuff is just a counterpart of who we already are. And we will attract into our lives who we are and what we are reflecting. So our physical life and what we experience on a day-to-day basis is a direct reflection on what is going on within us. So, if we are, whatever we are wanting, I believe we first have to be that. And that's not always easy, but that's where faith comes in.
Right.
And having faith that, who you are on the inside will manifest itself on the exterior, something that we live by in this office. And, we're always listening to different spiritual practices, and we're wide open to everything around here.
So you're just a sponge soaking up a lot of different wisdom and knowledge.
But you know what? And when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. There's another great quote for you.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm big on the practice of that this experience we call life is very much an inner game. And, who we are on the inside is what's going to attract or manifest to us on the outside.
It's really deep, really deep. Thinking about the spirit that dwells in you, and then thinking about yourself as two different people is a really interesting concept. And also,
powerful stuff, man.
It is. It's really deep. So, what's a book that you recommend, or one that maybe changed your life?
A book that I recommend, or a book that changed my life. Well, something I'm into right now, and I was actually listening to the audio version. I'm listening to Dr. Wayne Dyer right now because he recently passed away. I don't know if you're familiar with his work.
I am. Yep.
It's good stuff, and right now I'm listening to, practicing the 10 spiritual practices of success. So it's talking about, how spirituality applies to our day-to-day lives and business. And it's just hitting so many chords with me on more of a spiritual and business level.
Right.
That's really powerful for me. And I would also say The Power of Now has been big for me as well, by book. Eckhart Tolle. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
But that's really helped me, create this separation from, basically being somebody who tries to observe my thoughts rather than just drowning in the stream of thoughts. Because if you're constantly, until we can slow down and actually observe what's going on and be present, the day just tends to slip away. If you're not in the present moment, then eventually enough days slip away and weeks slip away and years slip away. And then you look back and say, what happened to my life?
Right.
So the spiritual practice and the books that I've been reading have really been helping me be more in the present, be more in the moment, and then be grateful for the present moment and look for things to be grateful for in this present moment. And it just makes life overall more enjoyable.
That's great, Dave. And it does give some great visuals. If you consider a therapist, you go in to speak with a therapist. Well, maybe it's two people. Two people go in maybe for counseling. Let's say they go in for counseling. And so you have your therapist there, or you have your counselor, and you have one person that's talking about what's going on. The other person's talking about what's going on. And this counselor in the middle is the balancer of the two, right? Well, in that concept, you can have what you're talking about, which is a meta principle of having kind of this counselor that kind of sees yourself and like sits there and goes, that's interesting. And why'd you think that way, Dave? But it's a part of yourself. So it's very interesting to, again, dissect the concept of yourself being more than one. A very powerful concept. What's one of your favorite? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I call it the observer. A lot of people call it the observer. Be that observer and observe your thoughts.
Right.
And going back to who we are on the inside, if you can start to, disidentify with our thoughts, meaning something negative pops into your mind. What I've been doing to myself is just say, hey, stop it. That's not me. That's not me. That's not true. And I think a lot of thoughts, negative thoughts come from fear and things like that. But if we can not just, fully engulf and be those thoughts, but actually be on the outside of them and observe them, then we can choose what thoughts that we want to resonate with, and then therefore, choose the positive ones, ideally.
And we can go into this this is a very deep concept, but as a Christian, you also have the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So this concept of Trinity is very identifiable, with the Holy Spirit being what's called the counselor, basically, and the comforter, and the one that's kind of the balancer of the two. So really, really interesting. But we can go into that deep. Let's keep on track here. Sure. What's one of your favorite mobile apps that you use every day?
Wow, great question. Favorite mobile apps that I use daily, besides, Gmail,
right,
and things like that.
Yeah, and your business, something that you use in your business every day.
In my business, Evernote.
Evernote?
I like Evernote. I'm an Evernote guy.
Yeah, that's a good
one. At a personal level, something I'm into now is MyFitnessPal.
Oh, that's
I
a good
lost
one.
10 pounds recently.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's great.
But yeah, I use Evernote every single day. And something that I implement, Corey, and maybe you and your listeners and followers can get value out of this. So many of our day-to-day conversations in business are the same, especially when it comes to tenants applying for a property, sellers, and it's really like autoresponders, but I kind of have a whole Evernote set up just for texts. The same people ask the same questions over and over again. So instead
of use templates?
Templates, yeah. Got it all in Evernote. I just copy and paste emails and texts all day because it's the same answers that I give, to the same questions.
Speaking of templates, in a way, what's your morning template? What's your morning ritual like?
So I've made some major life changes, me personally. I used to go out all the time and drink all night and hang out and feel like crap every morning.
Right.
And I'm really grateful that I've completely, just removed myself from those environments. So my daily routine consists now is I wake up, alarm goes off at 6:30, and then I usually hit the snooze, until about 7. The first thing I do, I don't know if it's good or bad, but it is what it is I grab my phone, get into my phone, and I just kind of look at what's going on. Typically, I'll have a couple texts or emails, and I'll just look, maybe not necessarily reply, but I'll just kind of see what's out there.
Just kind of scan. Just
scan and kind of see what's happening. And then from there, I go to the gym. I ran 2 miles this morning. And what I've been trying to do, or not trying to do, but doing, is working out on an empty stomach. They say it's really great for your metabolism. And then from there, I'll go home and eat. And I've been eating like a large, healthy breakfast and drinking coffee and shower up and then head to the office.
Great. That's great. Yeah, that's good. And everyone shares a different kind of morning routine. So it's really interesting how some are so anal specifically about things and others are just more general. And I think the answer is it really needs to fit you. That's why it's your morning routine. It needs to work for you. What's one of the single greatest lessons that you've learned that's helped you get to where you are today, Dave?
One of the single greatest lessons that I've learned
to help you get to where you are today in your success level.
I would say that fear is what you make it. And if you can feel fear and do it anyway, there's another great book. It's by a woman named Susan Jeffers called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. I love that.
RJ and I talk about it all the time, that fear is, danger is real. And I think I saw that in the Will Smith preview for a movie came out with the After Earth movie. It's like, danger is real, but fear is not real.
Right.
Because in this business, in life, in any business, in, entrepreneurship, there's going to be things that are completely outside of our comfort zone. And if we want to create results that are different from everyone else, we're going to have to do things that are different than everyone else. We're going to have to face things that are different than everybody else. We're going to have to feel things that are different than everyone else. This is not a comfortable little, world, this entrepreneurship and real estate and investing. And if you can just make logical, educated decisions the best you possibly can, learn to go with your heart and feel the fear and do it anyways.
What are you most grateful for, Dave?
I'm grateful for a lot of the small things that we can go on and on about, clean water and the ability to have a nice bed to sleep in. And I mean, here in America, we live like kings.
Kings, absolutely.
Kings and queens.
Yes.
I mean, come on. Look at this. I'm here in an office. I'm sitting on a nice couch in my own office space, enjoying this conversation with you. I feel like a king right now. There's so much to be grateful for.
That's great.
But I would say I'm grateful for my business partner, RJ, because he is not only my business partner, he's my best friend as well. And he's really helped me. He is somebody who is very mellow and very calm.
Right.
And he really helped me create an awareness in my life of what's important, things like health and family, because he's got a very strong family. And, health, he helped me realize that taking care of myself is a priority.
That's great.
And since I've been in business with RJ, Corey, I've quit cigarettes. I used to smoke cigarettes. In fact, it'll be a year next month.
Woohoo!
Completely
awesome.
dropped that.
Awesome.
Yeah, just bad habits. And then drinking. I don't even drink alcohol anymore. Just because I didn't like the way it made me feel.
Right.
And I'm a fireball and I have a lot of energy and I tend to lack self-control, and when I, am in certain environments, I'll go 1,000 miles an hour in anything you put in front of me, whether it be positive or negative. So he helps me realize the positive, and now I'm just going 1,000 miles an hour towards that stuff.
That is great. I love that. That's fantastic. What point would you recommend hiring a coach or a mentor? How important has that been to your success? I know you talked about Steve.
Well, I would definitely suggest somebody getting a base knowledge of real estate investing and put themselves in that environment before. Because there's a lot of information at libraries and there's a lot of great courses out there that are free online. Your podcast is phenomenal. There's a ton of value out here. I would immerse myself if I was brand new in as many, free things and low cost things, just for the simple reason of just to make sure you want to enter this field, make sure you want to do it. And if you're fully committed that I want to do this real estate thing, I want to improve properties, I see this is the way that I can actually, create the life that I want. At that point, I would hire a mentor after I already had a base knowledge and knew that this was the field I wanted to get into. Once I had that knowing, I would put that on steroids and explode it through the roof.
To get there, go faster, right? So
Absolutely.
You can accelerate your velocity of success. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. That's so important. All the top athletes in the world and business coaches out there that these guys, they just excel so much faster, and it's because they have coaches. And even though you see that they're great at what they do, they have a coach. And it's just one of the ways to almost cheat success, if you will. If you had to summarize it, why do you do what you do, Dave?
I do what I do. I do what I do to make my family proud and to have my family name, just be one of positivity, I would say, that, in a nutshell. But I do what I do because I know that real estate is going to allow me to free up my time. We talked about acquiring properties right now that we'll own free and clear in 5 years from now.
It's so low. I mean, it's such a great opportunity in your area. There's other places that's very difficult, if not impossible, to do that. So it's fantastic. And I'm going to ask you a little bit how people can get in touch with you, because I know that you're doing in virtual investing, that you have some people doing some of that too. But I didn't mean to interrupt you. Keep going.
No worries. I do what I do basically because I see the light at the end of the tunnel. We work our butts off every single day, RJ, myself, and our team and staff. And we work our butts off to acquire property. And I know that down the line, we're going to own all these properties, and it's a sustainable model, but that's what's going to allow me to have this void of time. And I really think that my purpose, Corey, and I'm sharing a lot with you, a lot of stuff that I don't even think I've shared with anyone, except for the closest people that I know. But I really feel that I'm meant to be, to work with children and be a coach. I'm a great coach, whether it be like a football coach or a life coach. Right. Or I really think that I can, for instance, we have a new acquisitions guy, and he's very green to real estate. Mm-hmm. And I did everything I possibly can to force him out when he first came in. I was real hard on this guy. Right. Now I love him. He's got a great character, and I just get so much, gratification on watching him succeed and taking what we share with him and implementing it and doing it for, ultimately it's the team, but he's learning so much, and he's going to be able to do it himself. But I do what I do to free up my time to do what I believe is my purpose, and that's to help other people.
Why does that give you value? I'm just curious. Why does that give you value? What's that thing that turns on in you whenever you see him succeed?
It makes me feel valuable. It makes me feel worthwhile, and it makes me feel like what I'm doing.
Why, Dave? Why?
Well, I think that it triggers something in me. Going back to, I was very reluctant to work with other people with a big ego, and I didn't want to network with anyone. Right. I wanted to do everything myself. Right. Yeah. And then with this individual, I see the opposite. He came to us and said, hey, how can I help you? How can I work for you for free and learn this business? And what he did by coming to us and be willing to work for free, that's something I never would have done. That's something I wish, going back to where if I just got started, I wish I would have done that. Right. I didn't have the wherewithal or the knowing to do it. But that tells me more about his character, and it's just impressive to me that he did that, because that's something when I first got started I never would have done. So now that he's proven himself and he's proven the character and the loyalty that he has, I just want to pour into this guy, and I want him to be even more successful than I am, and that's what does it for me. Is basically he's different, and he's doing what I wish I would have done.
You are a great coach. You'll be an even better coach should you pursue that later on and with your career involved with real estate or whatever it is. So congratulations on that, man. It takes having if you care about people and being a consultant and coach, I can tell you this. If you care about people, it's not an easy thing. It takes time and investment, and sometimes you don't get the investment back. But that you don't invest to get it back. You invest because you see that potential that person could be great, and you want to just be a part of helping that person get to where they want to go, and you'll be a fantastic coach.
I appreciate you, Corey.
Yeah. What's the best way that my audience can get in touch with you? What's one way that we can do to help you? What can we do to serve you, and how can we get in touch with you, Dave?
So the best way is probably our website for turnkey properties, and that is ColumbusTurnkeyHouses.com.
Okay.
And feel free to contact myself and contact the company, info@ColumbusTurnkeyHouses.com.
Okay.
And anyone who is interested in, purchasing great cash flow properties, we're a great source, and Columbus, Ohio is a fantastic market. I'd love to speak with anyone about turnkey properties here in Columbus. That really is our specialty. And then if anyone's interested in, investing with us, and actually if they have $20,000 laying around and they want to earn a safe and secure 9% on and buy a rental property with us, we'd be happy to talk to anyone about that as well.
That's great. Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for taking your time. I'm looking forward to talking to RJ. I know he's an awesome guy too. And it sounds like you guys got some just big things going on. I love your strategy, and I love your outlook on life, man. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thanks for having me, Corey. I look forward to this opportunity. I was looking forward to this meeting here, man. And it's just good to see your face, see your smiling face, and catch up with you. And I'm sure we'll be catching up offline, hopefully sooner than later.
That's absolutely right. All right. Well, thanks again, Dave. I appreciate you. Obviously, make sure that you do not miss the next Profit Master podcast. It is just continuing to go gangbusters. We hit number 2 in iTunes, which is awesome for the investing category. And with your help and with your support, and we get incredible guests like Dave on here to be able to rock this out for you, to give you the very, very best. And no one else is asking these types of questions. And we do this just to serve you. We want to really help you. So thank you again for being on here, Dave. Remember, be a servant, and we'll talk to you on the next podcast. Bye now.
Thanks.
You've been listening to another Real Estate Investing Profits Master Podcast Series. To receive your free real estate book, Down and Dirty, Ultimate Real Estate Investing Quick Start Guide, how to quit your job to start flipping houses in 90 days or less, head online and go to realestateinvestingprofits.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Real Estate Investing Profits. Thanks again for listening, and stay tuned for our next episode.